Hi, I'm Nikki Hart. As a trained dietitian and registered nutritionist, one of the issues I face is getting people to eat a healthy diet that fits their lifestyle. There seems to be this growing romantic notion about eating natural and clean food like our ancestors did, coupled with concern about processed foods. And while buying food in its whole form does generally mean it's less processed, processing food doesn't necessarily mean it's less healthy. In fact, most of the food you eat has been processed in some way before you can eat it. In reality, each of the ingredients in the clean food bar you eat is likely to have been processed in some way to make each of the ingredients edible, even just removing the nuts from their shells. Our ancestors knew that some food tasted bad in its natural state, whilst other food went off quickly. So they learned that sun-drying, salting and adding sugar not only made foods more edible, but meant they lasted longer. Food manufacturers have now taken those methods of our ancestors and used them and developed them further, so we now have all sorts of innovative foods on our supermarket shelves. Improved packaging and processing means products can be stored for longer in the home, so we can prepare safe, fresh and healthy food when we need it. Even Italians unashamedly use dried pasta. And frozen vegetables can actually have a higher vitamin content than fresh vegetables that were only harvested 5 to 7 days ago. But now the shopper's worried about what's been done to make my food last so long, or is the packaging safe, and why are additives being used? So let's look at the benefits of processing foods. Safety. Did you know that you were 100 times more likely to suffer food poisoning in the early 1800s than you are today? Canning and pasteurisation both use heat to destroy harmful bacteria, so your food is safe to eat and will not spoil quickly. And thanks to Captain Birdseye in 1925, it was discovered that freezing also preserved food. Improved nutrition. It was found more recently that some foods were made more nutritious with heating. For example, the lycopene, the protective antioxidant, is greater in cooked than raw tomato. And the addition of nutrients to food, known as fortification, like the iron added to breakfast cereals, allows for greater nutrient status in some populations. And fat-reduced spreads and milks have played a part in altering the saturated fat intake in the Western diet and helping reduce chronic diseases. And variety. If you want to replicate the different styles of food or flavours you had when you travelled overseas to exotic destinations, food manufacturers are now even producing foods to match your expectations. But what about additives? Are they safe? Every additive is strictly studied, regulated and monitored by Food Standards Australia and New Zealand. There is no evidence that approved food additives are unsafe. I'm often asked whether food colourings or additives cause hyperactivity in children. Studies to date have not proved any link, however the topic does remain controversial. But if you are concerned about any component of your child's diet, make sure you get a registered nutritionist or dietitian to supervise changes to avoid any nutrient deficiencies. Food processing can be a good thing. We need to understand that prior to technological advances, people had no choice but to spend all day growing and making food. But where modern food became available, populations grew taller and stronger, had fewer diseases and lived longer. Foods that are fresh, canned, frozen and processed in other ways now allow the shopper to buy and store a wide range of foods, and this helps them to eat a varied and nutritious diet. The bottom line is, food processing allows for greater choice of safe, convenient and healthy food for more people.